Good afternoon. Welcome to our press conference. I have two announcements. At the first, at the invitation of member of the Standing Committee of the Political Bureau of the CPC Central Committee and Vice Premier of the State Council Ding Xuexiang, Deputy Prime Minister, Minister for Finance of Singapore, Lawrence Wang will visit China from May the 13th to the 17th. At the invitation of State Council Foreign Minister Qin Gang, David Francis, Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation of Sarah Liang, will pay an official visit to China from May the 15th to the 18th. Questions, please.
谢谢发言人法新社记者。
AFP. According to official media, Director Wang met with NSA Sullivan and had a nearly 8-hour meeting, but the two sides have issued rather short readouts, including that the two sides have reached agreement on major issues, and during the upcoming G7 summit, will China and the U.S. meet?
主任和美国总统国家安全事务助理沙利文会晤的情况呢，中方已经。
China has released a readout on the meeting on May the 10th and 11th local time. Director Wang Yi and National Security Advisor Sullivan met in Vienna. The two sides held candid, in-depth, substantive and constructive discussions on ways to remove obstacles in China-US relations and stabilize the relationship from deterioration. Director Wang fully elaborated on China's serious position on the Taiwan question. The two sides also exchanged views on the situation in the Asia-Pacific, Ukraine and other international regional issues of mutual interest. The two sides agreed to continue to make good use of this channel of strategic communication. Next one, please.
谢谢发言人。新华社记者提问：中方发布了厄立特里亚总统伊萨亚斯将访华的消息。
Xinhua News Agency, China announced the visit of Eritrean President Isaias. Could you share with us the program and China's expectation for the visit? How does China view relations between China and Eritrea? Eritrea is an important country in the Horn of Africa. The two countries enjoy long-standing friendship. In 2022, President Xi and President Isaias agreed to elevate relations to a strategic partnership. This year marks the 30th anniversary of diplomatic ties between our two countries. We have deepened political mutual trust, achieved fruitful outcomes in practical cooperation, and maintained close communication and coordination in international and regional affairs. During the visit, President Xi will hold a welcome ceremony and banquet for the visiting president, and they will hold talks. Premier Li Qiang will meet with him. We believe the visit will give a new boost to the all-round in-depth growth of China-Eritrea relations and further advance our friendly cooperation. Next one, please.
发言人你好，俄通塔斯社记者。
TASS. On May the 13th, the EU Asia-Pacific Foreign Ministers meeting will be held in Stockholm, Sweden. My question is, will Foreign Minister Qin Gang attend this meeting? It is reported that the agenda of this event includes inclusive and green development and has also a theme about Russia. Will China attend this meeting? And who will attend if Foreign Minister Qin Gang does not attend?
The Asia-Pacific is a promising land for development and cooperation, not a chessboard for geopolitical rivalry. Cooperation should be conducive to development of all countries and reflect the principle of openness and transparency instead of a Cold War mentality, ideology-based division and confrontation. Next one, please.
谢谢发言人。中新社记者提问：据报道，中美近日在纽约共同举行了中国流失文物返还仪式，美方向中方返还了2件中国北朝之唐。
According to reports, China and the U.S. today held a ceremony in New York on the repatriation of Chinese relics. Do you have any comments? On the afternoon of May the 9th local time, authorized by China's National Cultural Heritage Administration, the Chinese Consulate General in New York and the Manhattan District Attorney's Office held a handover ceremony during which two important Chinese cultural relics seized by the U.S. were returned. This marks the fifth such event in recent years. And after the ceremony, the Chinese side has started organizing the transportation of the relics back home. China is committed to expanding intergovernmental cooperation on combating and preventing the smuggling of cultural relics. To preserve humanity's common cultural heritage, we are ready to work with the U.S. and others to step up exchange and cooperation in this field.
Good afternoon. A question from Reuters. Are you able to confirm whether China's ambassador to France, Liu Xiaye, will be recalled on May 15th? Thank you.
路透社提问：你可否证实中国驻法国大使卢沙野将于5月15日被召回？
你提到的是一个假消息。
That is fake news. Next one, please.
谢谢发言人。人民日报记者提问：欧洲智库布鲁盖尔研究所日前发布报告说，10年来“一带一路”倡议经受住了多重挑战和考验。
A Europe-based think tank, Bruegel, in a report said that the Belt and Road Initiative has stood challenges over the past decade and has been applauded around the world, especially by developing countries. Do you have any comments? We noted this report, entitled Global Trends in Countries' Perceptions of the BRI. It is based on reporting by mainstream media in nearly 150 countries, and it concludes that the overwhelming majority of countries in the world hold rather positive views about the BRI. The key to BRI's popularity lies in its commitment to joint consultation and contribution for shared benefits. China never imposes its will on others, nor does it seek ulterior geopolitical motives. The BRI is an open and inclusive platform. It does not seek to serve a few, but pursues common development that is more inclusive, balanced, and beneficial for all. Disinformation against the BRI cannot stand in the face of facts. This year, we will hold the third Forum for International Cooperation on the BRI, and we are ready to work with the international community to take stock of past achievements and plan for the future, and inject new impetus and confidence for the world economic recovery and sustainable global growth. Next one, please.
谢发言人，总台央视记者提问：我们看到中方此前曾发布消息称将会派中国政
CCTV China announced earlier that the special representative of the Chinese government on Eurasian affairs will visit Ukraine and other countries. Can you share more information with us? Starting from May the 15th, Special Representative of the Chinese government on Eurasian affairs, Li Hui, will visit Ukraine, Poland, France, Germany, and Russia to have communication on the political settlement of the Ukraine crisis. Since the beginning of the Ukraine crisis, China has been upholding an objective and just position and actively promoting talks for peace. President Xi Jinping has put forward 4 principles, called for joint efforts in 4 areas, and shared 3 observations on Ukraine, which outline China's fundamental approach to the issue. On this basis, China released its position on the political settlement of the Ukraine crisis, which reflects the core ideas of China's stance and incorporates the legitimate concerns of all parties, and has thus won wide understanding and recognition from the international community. This visit by the Chinese representative is a testament to China's efforts to promote peace talks and our firm commitment to peace. The Ukraine crisis is protracting and escalating, and the spillover effects are emerging. The voices for ceasefire and de-escalation are growing in the international community. China will continue to play a constructive role and build more international consensus on ending hostilities, restarting peace talks, and preventing escalation of the situation, and make China's contribution to facilitating a political settlement of the Ukraine crisis. Next one, please.
A second question from Reuters. Are you able to confirm that Foreign Minister Ning will travel to Australia in July? Thank you.
路透社提问：你可否证实秦刚外长将于7月份访问澳大利亚？
中澳各层级之间保。
China and Australia maintains contact and communication at various levels. I have nothing on what you just asked about. Next one, please.
好，谢谢发言人。今日报记者提问，秦刚国务委员兼外长近日访问了法国，请问发言人可不可以介绍一下有？
Do you have more information to share about the visit to France by State Councilor Foreign Minister Qin Gang? On May the 10th local time, State Councilor Qin held talks with the French Minister for European Foreign Affairs, Colonna, in Paris, and they also held consultation as co-chairs of the high-level dialogue on people-to-people exchange. State Councilor Qin also met with diplomatic advisor to the President and inaugurated the China House at the Cité Internationale Universitaire de Paris. State Councilor Qin said that during President Macron's successful state visit to China, the two presidents agreed to fully resume exchange and cooperation in culture, education, science and technology, and take relations to a higher level. Will follow through on the common understandings, accelerated exchange and cooperation, and work for further development of our close and enduring comprehensive strategic partnership. He noted that in a world of change and instability, China and France should promote mutual respect and inclusiveness between culture and civilizations, remove misgivings and bias, and sow the seed of peace in the world. This is also the original purpose of the Global Civilization Initiative put forward by President Xi Jinping. The two sides can make full use of the high-level dialogue on people-to-people exchange to enhance mutual understanding between the two peoples. Priority areas for cooperation can include sports, education, language, innovation, and tourism. State Councilor Qin stressed that China sees Europe as a comprehensive strategic partner, supporting Europe in strengthening strategic autonomy and playing an active role in the international arena, and advocates that China-Europe relationship is not targeted at any third party, nor is it subjugated to or controlled by any third party. We should pursue win-win cooperation and build a more stable China-EU supply chain partnership of mutual trust. Foreign Minister Colonna noted that France-China relations are of vital importance. The two heads of state have made clear the direction, and our two sides should work for greater development of bilateral ties. And France attach importance to our economic ties. I believe our ties are mutually dependent and mutually beneficial. It is complementary, open, and transparent. French does not seek bloc confrontation. It believes that countries should live in harmony and seek common development. China plays an important role in world peace and stability, and France is ready to enhance communication with China on major international and regional issues to seek more common ground. Next one, please.
谢谢。中国日报提问：美国众议院此前通过了一项涉华法。
China Daily. The U.S. House just passed an act which requires the Department of State to take actions to stop China from being classified as a developing country by international organizations. The U.S. Congress introduced a resolution recently that opposes China's status as a developed country in the WTO. Some commentators have said such moves show once again that the U.S. puts its domestic law above international law, revealing its true motive to keep China down. What's your response? China is the largest developing country, a fact that is recognized by the world. The U.S. wants to put the developed country hat on China, but sorry, that just does not fit. There are concrete facts that support China's status as a developing country. China's GDP per capita in 2022 was $12,741, or one-fifth of that of developing countries, and only one-sixth of that of the U.S. China's GNI ranked the 68th and HDI the 79th in the world in 2021, which is on par with major developing countries. There is strong international legal basis that supports China's status as a developing country. This status has been recognized in the WTO mechanism and international agreements, including the UNFCCC and the Montreal Protocol. It has also been accepted by the vast majority of the members of the international community. China's status as a developing country shall not be taken away. China has long stood shoulder to shoulder with developing countries in Asia, Africa, and Latin America in their struggle for national liberation. We have supported each other in national development, demonstrating that a friend in need is a friend indeed, and making us a community with a shared future. Instead of joining the West's club of the rich, China will always stand with fellow developing countries to work for our common rights and defend common interests. As President Xi Jinping has pointed out, China will always be a member of the big family of developing countries. I would also like to stress that it is China's legitimate right to defend our developing country status. China does not use this status as a shield to avoid international obligations or a tool to seek privileges. Instead, we have been making more contribution to world peace and development. From 2013 to 2021, China contributed about 38.6% to world economic growth on average, higher than that of G7 countries combined. China was the first to realize the Millennium Development Goals and contributed more than 70% of world poverty reduction. We have become the second largest contributor to the UN's regular budget and peacekeeping assessments. In the WTO, the special and preferential treatment provisions that China actually enjoys are far lower than the average of developing countries. Whether China is a developing country cannot be decided by the U.S. The U.S. has been spreading false narratives to deny China's developing country status. Its real motive is to suppress and contain China's development, shift burden to China, sow discords between China and fellow developing countries, and disrupt and stall the momentum of the collective rise with other developing countries, enhance our representation and say in international governance system, and defend our legitimate and unlawful rights and interests. Next one, please.
还有其他的问题吗？
谢谢发言人。湖北广电记者提问：据报道，日本外相林。
According to reports, Japanese Foreign Minister and NATO Secretary General both confirmed at interviews that the two sides are discussing opening a NATO liaison office in Japan. Do you have any comments? NATO has publicly stated on many occasions that it remains a regional alliance and does not seek a geopolitical breakthrough. The Asia-Pacific lies beyond the geographical scope of the North Atlantic and has no need for a NATO replica. However, we have seen NATO constantly strengthening ties with Asia-Pacific countries, and it is bent on going east into this region, interfering in regional countries' affairs and inciting bloc confrontation. What is NATO really up to? This calls for high vigilance among countries in the world, particularly in the Asia-Pacific. We hope relevant parties will not undermine regional peace and stability to pursue so-called geopolitical interests. In the meantime, the rest of the world are looking closely at whether Japan really wants to spearhead NATO's extension into the Asia-Pacific. Asia is one of the most peaceful and stable regions in the world and a promising place for cooperation and development, not a wrestling ground for geopolitical contest. Given Japan's history of militarist aggression during the last century, Japan's military and security moves have been closely watched by its Asian neighbors and the international community. We urge Japan to draw lessons from history, stay committed to peaceful development, and avoid doing things that could dismantle trust and affect peace and stability in this region. Next question, please.
还有问题吗？
Anything else?
提问：据报道，有知情人士。
CCTV people familiar with the matter have told the media that G7 member states will announce joint actions to respond to China's economic coercion so as to send a message to China. What is China's response? If any country should be criticized for economic coercion, it should be the United States. The U.S. has been overstretching the concept of national security, abusing export control, and taking discriminatory and unfair measures against foreign companies. This seriously violates the principles of market economy and fair competition. According to media reports, U.S. government sanctioned designations soared by 933% between 2000 and 2021. The Trump administration alone imposed more than 3,900 sanctions, or 3 per day on average within 4 years. More than 9,400 sanctions designations had come into effect in the U.S. by fiscal year 2021. The U.S. has slapped unilateral economic sanctions on nearly 40 countries, affecting nearly half of the world's population. Not even G7 members have been spared from U.S. economic coercion and bullying. Companies of U.S. allies such as Toshiba from Japan, Siemens from Germany, and Alstom from France were all victims of U.S. suppression. If the G7 summit is to discuss response to economic coercion, perhaps it should first discuss what the U.S. has done. As the G7 host, would Japan express some of the concerns to the U.S. on behalf of the rest of the group who have been bullied by the U.S.? Or at least speak the truth about how they have treated or felt. Instead of a perpetrator, China is a victim of U.S. economic coercion. We have been firmly opposed to economic coercion by any country in the world and urge the G7 to embrace the trend of openness and inclusiveness in the world. Stop forming exclusive blocs and not become complicit in any economic coercion. Next one, please.
还有其他的问题吗？
Anything else? Then that's all for today. Thank you. Enjoy your weekend.
哦，